Hello and welcome to the Monday, November 25th, 2019 edition of Tesla Daily, unofficial Tesla podcast. My name is Rob Maurer. Today we are, of course, talking a little bit more about the Cybertruck, including the updates on reservation counts, as well as a handful of other topics. Tesla stock on the day-to-day did finish up, but not as much as the general markets, with the Nasdaq finishing up 1.3% compared to Tesla up 1% to $336.34. This is, of course, following the down 6% or so that we had on Friday following the Cybertruck unveiling. That part wasn't too surprising, but I think today I expected a bit of a stronger rebound given the reservation numbers that Elon has released over the weekend, 200,000 as of the last update yesterday. It's obviously really strong news, especially given the underselling that I would say that we had going into this, with Elon commenting that not everybody might like it, and maybe if people didn't like it, they would need to design a different looking truck in the future. And then, of course, the disparity in reactions that we saw post-event once the vehicle was actually unveiled. I still expect the stock to continue to rise from here, as said on Friday's episode, that I expected us to recover to sort of that $350 range this week. It may end up taking a little bit longer than that because of the holidays this week. The markets will be closed on Thursday for the entirety of the day. And then Friday, there's an early close 3 hours earlier than usual at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Just going off memory here, but it seems like holiday weeks aren't usually the greatest for Tesla, so it might take a little bit more time. But I think, obviously, the 200,000 reservation number, strong indicator, which we'll talk about more here in a second. And I think as Wall Street continues to see the truck and take in those numbers, understand them and the impact that this is going to have on the automotive market, as well as the focus continuing to shift back towards fourth quarter and the possible results that Tesla will deliver for this quarter, I feel very bullish heading into the end of the quarter. I think today's reaction is just another sign of Wall Street failing to understand what Tesla is doing and what they've just done with the unveiling of the Cybertruck. I think the episode on Friday made it very clear, but let me just state it in no uncertain terms. I am very, very happy with the Cybertruck. I think the pricing, the specs, and the utility have all blown away expectations. And then on top of that, we learned a ton about very innovative vehicle design from a materials standpoint with the stainless steel alloy that Tesla's going to be using, and Tesla's ability to leverage that both in the vehicle design as well as from a manufacturing efficiency perspective with the use of flat panels. Elon said there will be new manufacturing techniques needed for them to achieve this, but I'm sure once they do that, it's going to be incredibly capital efficient. You also don't have a paint shop with the stainless steel body. You get an incredibly tough and durable vehicle, something that's important both from a branding perspective as well as from a reliability perspective. There should be much lower maintenance need on a vehicle like this. And Tesla was able to design the vehicle in a way that takes advantage of all of those things in a way that is still efficient enough for an electric powertrain, and in a vehicle that looks honestly awesome. I know it takes some time to adjust, and it's definitely not going to be everybody's preference, but I promise you that this is going to grow on people. It's not going to grow on everybody, but we've already seen strong signs of that anecdotally online, and the reservation numbers give us proof of concept that at least there is a segment of the market that is excited about this vehicle, as they should be. I think it's already starting to make traditional pickup designs look dated. Go look at some pictures if you haven't yet, and see if you notice the same thing. Even a concept pickup like the Rivian R1T now looks dated to me. If anybody's still holding out hope that Tesla designs a more traditional looking pickup after this, I think it's time to slowly let those dreams fade into the distance. I don't think we're ever going to see that from Tesla. Something that has been really fun to watch over the last few days has been the internet's reaction to the unveiling. This is mostly what I spent today catching up on. Obviously, there is the element of polarization that we've discussed, but what's interesting is this has become a very popular meme. The top 2 posts on all of Reddit that day were Cybertruck memes. Not just the Tesla Reddit, all of Reddit. That's incredible exposure that gets people to ask questions about what this thing is. That effect that we see carry out online today is the exact same effect that's going to cascade out through personal conversations, especially here over the holidays, and then moving forward. And then that effect will again be heightened once the vehicle is actually shipping and out there in the wild. The amount of questions this thing is going to draw is going to be unlike any other vehicle on the road, and it won't be close. This is going to be like the Model X Falcon Wing doors all over again, except this thing just sticks out at you even more so because you don't need to be in a parking lot opening the doors for it to make a statement. So I'm extremely excited for the Cybertruck. I think this is an absolute home run for Tesla. And I think Tesla did an incredible job designing this vehicle, both from a consumer perspective and from a production perspective. I don't believe that another company, certainly not a legacy automaker, could have designed a product like the Cybertruck. We talked about the reason for that back when Elon had his interview with Everyday Astronaut a couple months back, and he was talking about the organizational structure at SpaceX. The gist of that conversation was basically that everybody needs to be the chief engineer. They all need to have a broad understanding of all the systems of a vehicle so that you don't have subsystem optimization based on one team working within the constraints of one system. Elon stated that very well in that interview, saying, quote, "The product errors reflect the organizational errors," end quote. The Cybertruck is such a perfect example of what Elon is talking about there. It designed out of so many things, whether we're looking at the exoskeleton as the frame, the flat panel design, the stainless steel exterior. It's abundantly clear that this is designed from the ground up. This is not an iteration of the Model X, for example. That sort of design philosophy and organizational structure is one of the things that is so exciting about Tesla, and one of the things that allows them to maintain their pace of innovation, which we know Elon has said is much more important to maintain a competitive advantage rather than creating some sort of moat. That's a huge differentiator for Tesla. I can't imagine a legacy automaker being able to adopt an organizational culture like that. That sort of cultural change is extremely difficult to make, and I would venture a guess to say impossible for a legacy automaker to accomplish. It's fun to watch, though, what Tesla can do with that philosophy. Getting back to the reach and exposure this has generated for Tesla, not just gaining a lot of traction from memes, but it's gaining a lot of search traction as well. I tweeted a graph of this earlier today, but Google Trends is forecasting the Cybertruck unveiling to generate more US search interest in Tesla than any other event in Tesla's history, surpassing the Model 3 unveiling. Now, sure, some of that is because of the memes and because of the broken glass incident at the unveiling, but that interest will lead to more interest in people learning about the Cybertruck, about Tesla, about electric vehicles, and that's going to drive increased demand, both in the future for Cybertruck and right now for the rest of Tesla's vehicles. So overall, I don't think I could really be any happier with the Cybertruck. I do still want to know a little bit more about safety. I wish they would have addressed that. I'm sure it'll be good, but it's definitely something they should have talked about, something they always talked about in the past. So I do hope that we don't have to wait all that long to get more information on that, though I'm not necessarily super hopeful. The other thing I wanted to talk about was orders. So Elon, as I said, tweeted yesterday that they had received 200,000 orders already. Of course, those orders are, at this point, just $100 refundable deposits, but still gives us a really nice indicator of the possible demand for the Cybertruck. We do have a bit of a benchmark with the Model 3 for reservation numbers, though of course there are some differences, which I'll talk about as well. But the Model 3 reservations opened up in stores before the unveiling on a Thursday morning. Then the unveiling was Thursday evening. By late in the day on Friday, so maybe 36 hours or so, Tesla already had 230,000 reservations for Model 3. The most comparable timing for that comparison for the Cybertruck would be Elon's tweet on Saturday saying that they had 146,000 orders, and then of course rising through the weekend up to 200,000 yesterday. So definitely strong order numbers given the volume expectations, I think, going into the event, but they do still trail a little bit behind Model 3, which could give us maybe an indicator of future demand. But there are some key differences here that are important to consider. From an influencing numbers higher perspective, one key difference would of course be the lower deposit needed for the Cybertruck order. That's just $100 refundable versus the Model 3, which was $1,000 refundable. Also positively influencing numbers would be the fact that Tesla is more popular now. There's more awareness, both for Tesla and for electric vehicles, than there was back in 2016. Then the other important note, which I'm not actually sure how much this would drive orders because I'm not sure a lot of people are thinking about this, but an order now allows you to lock in the price of your configuration with full self-driving. So we know that Tesla has said many times that they plan to increase the price of that option as those capabilities develop, but Tesla on their site says that this $100 order locks in the price of full self-driving as an option. Again, early stages, I'm not sure how many people would have really caught on to that would be influencing the order numbers that significantly, but it is a pretty compelling reason to put that $100 order in. On the other hand, there should be some factors influencing reservations lower as well. I think there was less general hype going into this event than there was for Model 3. That was a product that had been talked about for many years and was really the pinnacle of what Tesla had been setting out to do since its inception. So I think a lot more people came into that ready to reserve than the Cybertruck event. I also think the unusual design of the Cybertruck takes some time to get used to, so that might shift orders a little bit later in time than what we saw for Model 3. We also learned through the Model 3 rollout that the orders or reservations weren't actually that critical in terms of when you got your vehicle. So perhaps a little bit less incentive this time around for people to place an order early with that understanding. And then the biggest factor here, which I don't think can be underemphasized, is that a lot of those reservations for Model 3s were likely placed to try to lock in delivery before the phase-out begun for the federal tax credit. There's definitely no way of knowing how much of an influence that had, but without a looming federal tax credit expiration on the Cybertruck, you don't really have that factor creating as significant a sense of urgency. So a lot of things influencing reservations higher, a lot of things that would influence them lower, making these not really directly comparable. But I think the important thing is that 200,000 orders is a lot of orders for a product that's not going to ship for upwards of 18 months. There's a lot of demand for this vehicle, and that should be very exciting to any Tesla investors. With that, it is getting super late here, so I think we'll leave the rest of the topics till tomorrow. Before we do that, though, I want to say a huge thank you to Dave, Peter, and Viv for all their help with the Cybertruck event. That was extremely appreciated. It was a super fun event, and it was so awesome to meet some people in the Tesla community that I've interacted with on Twitter or whatever else, some listeners as well. Too many people to list, but it was so awesome meeting all of you. That was a really great experience. With that, we'll wrap it up for today. As always, thank you for listening. I'd also encourage you to follow me on Twitter at Tesla Podcast. If you have questions or feedback, you can send those to me at tesladailypodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to support the podcast, you can find more details about doing that at patreon.com/Tesla Daily Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to tell a friend, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Tuesday, November 26th episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.